All right, welcome in. Another MLB Friday here, September 12th. It's getting hairy here down the stretch for a lot of teams. Some teams starting to hit that panic button. Some teams realizing they have a better shot than they thought they were going to have at this point. So overall, we're heading down the stretch. Only a few more series left for each team. And thanks a lot for you guys joining me today. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to get the chat panel open. Oh, there it is. All right, so good morning, everyone. We're stuck with a Dunkin' coffee today. Didn't have enough time to make my espresso. Kind of running around a little bit with like a chicken with my head cut off. But that's okay. So let's go ahead and we'll head over and we'll check the standings and we'll get into this thing. All right, here we go. Today's standings. All right, Blue Jays 3 up. On the Yankees, 3.5 on the Red Sox. Red Sox were idle last night. They did not play. They start their series with the Yankees tonight in Fenway. That's a big series. If either team sweeps, that would be a huge blow to the losing team. More than likely, they'll split. They'll split up these games a little bit, 2 out of 3, one way or the other, and they'll both stay on it. But the Blue Jays have an opportunity here to separate themselves. They are about to start a series at home versus Baltimore. Detroit, 8.5 up on Cleveland. Kansas City now 10 back. Houston is now tied with Seattle. That's probably the first game we're going to check up on. Seattle's now won 6 in a row. They had back-to-back walk-offs. Houston got shut down by Kevin Gausman yesterday. I made a whole video on that over on my channel, Adam Ottavino 0 ZERO on YouTube. You can watch that out. He basically pitched to Maddox, Kevin Gausman. 100-pitch complete game shutout, complete domination of the Astros. And I was hit with a stat this morning that I did not know until this morning, which was that Yordan Alvarez 0 for 19 versus Kevin Gausman. It's crazy, but it makes sense when you watch the video of the game yesterday a little bit. You'll see that he has a really hard time getting on plane with Gausman for some reason. All right, Milwaukee has now lost 3 in a row. They open a series up with St. Louis now, and they are 5.5 up on the Cubs, who are playing the Rays. So seems like 5.5 is probably too many. This is probably a pretty easy division victory for the Brewers. But obviously they can't keep losing. Dodgers now 2.5 up on the Padres. They have won 4 in a row. Their starting pitching has looked incredible. We can get into a little bit of talk about that. Their last 6 starts have all been dominant. And they're getting some bullpen stuff back. And Mookie's starting to hit. So Dodgers are starting to look like the Dodgers. And they have a chance to do a very funny thing, which I mentioned on yesterday's stream over on my channel, which is they have a chance to frustrate their fan base the entire year and then still win the whole thing. Very rare to do that, but the Dodgers have an opportunity to pull that one off. All right, in the wild card, currently the last spot is a tie between Houston and the Mariners, with the Rangers only 2 back. They have also won 4 in a row. They have a series starting today at the Mets. Jacob deGrom will be on the mound today for the Rangers, pitching his first game at Citi Field as an opponent of the Mets. So that'll be very interesting, probably emotional for Mets fans, but also this is a game the Mets really need. So that's going to be a fun game to watch tonight. Cleveland's 3.5 back. Kansas City has now dropped to 5 back in the wild card. Their season's on the brink. They start a series tonight at Philly. So Philly's been red hot. They just dismissed the Mets 4 in a row. So I don't know how I feel about the Royals' chances, but it's baseball. You never know. All right, and in the National League, this is where it's suddenly gotten interesting. The Mets had as much as a 5-game lead in the wild card not that long ago. Now it's down to 1.5 over the Reds. And really, it's effectively 2.5 over the Giants because the Mets own the tiebreaker in that race. With San Francisco, however, it's still pretty tight. So effectively a 2.5 game lead on the Giants, 1.5 on the Reds. Diamondbacks still lurking, even though they're a game below 500 at 3 back. So that is our standings. And I thought it was fair to look at Jesus Luzardo first. I didn't watch any of this Mets game last night. I saw they were down 4-0. 4 runs in the first off Luzardo. Then he comes back with 8 shutout innings if you count the rest of that first inning. 22 batters in a row set down. So this is a very unusual start. You don't see very many starts like this where a guy gets tagged early in the game and then sticks around deep into the game and kind of just uses it as motivation, gets pissed off and starts shoving. But that's what Luzardo did last night. And I'm curious what the adjustments were after the first inning. This was his total pitch mix for the game. 43 sweepers, 24 fastballs, 18 changeups, 11 sinkers, and a slider. The sweeper has been by far his best pitch. If you go look at Luzardo's page here, And you go down to run value. He's getting all of his run value on sweeper this year. Positive 16 run value for him on that sweeper. The fastball's been worth -4, so it's been an off-speed attack this year, and it's been a very weird year. He was unbelievable early in the year. I have him here in splits. If you go by month here, Jesus he made one start in March, that's whatever, then a 1.44 in April, where he looked absolutely dominant and incredible. Then he goes 5.56 in May, 5.40 in July, 5.26 in June. So those 3 months, May, June, July, no bueno. But then he's readjusted again. There was some tipping issues in there as well, not just pitch selection issues. Also, he was definitely tipping at one point, especially with runners on base. August, he comes back for a 3.12 and 6 starts, and then his 2 September starts have gone well. Also, 3.86 ERA so far. And that's really a little inflated with the 4 runs in the first. So I'm curious to head over to this Mets game. Mets and Phillies. I guess you can't call it the Mets game. I guess you got to call it the Phillies game. So we're going to go over to this Phillies game, and we're going to see what happened in the first inning and kind of how he turned it around, okay? I think that's a pretty good thing to start with today. All right, Lindor is going to open up this game with a hit on a sinker. Just a little 2-1 sinker away, uses the whole field, drives it to the right side. So pretty good approach by Lindor there. Luzardo just trying to get ahead in this game. All right, Juan Soto then comes with a sinker. And that's a ground ball through, and this is one of the downsides of being a ground ball pitcher. This ground ball right here, not necessarily a bad piece of contact to allow. Yes, it's 103, but it's on the ground. This ball's hit at somebody. It's an easy-peasy double play. But with the man on first and the alignment, it's right through the right side. Lindor doesn't go to first. Now let's pause real quick to see the alignment that I'm talking about. Here's Harper holding on the runner. So he's not off the bag. That allows this hole to be a lot bigger. Second baseman's actually not pinched over as far as I would have thought, but either way, this is a nice big 4-hole. And that's exactly where this ground ball goes. So first and second, no outs in the first. He does come back to strike out Pete with a sweeper. So far 2 hits on sinkers, and the 1 out is on a sweeper. Backdoor, really nasty one. This pitch has been incredible for him. It's also incredible because he didn't even throw it last year. This is a new pitch for him, and it's become by far his most valuable pitch. So that's kind of a modern situation there, where a guy picks up a new pitch in an offseason, comes back, and dominates in the big leagues with it. Then Vientos gets a hit. It's going to be on a fastball, 99-mile-an-hour fastball. So first 3 Mets hits are all on fastballs, and we'll keep track of that. Not that any of these balls are like, you know, barreled or anything, but 3 hits on fastballs, 1 out on a sweeper in the first. Then Nimmo gets a hit. What is this on? This is on the sweeper, so let's see it. Kind of hangs the sweeper middle in. Nimmo swats it over the first baseman's head with the runner holding him on. Doesn't hit it very hard. How far over Harper was this ball? Let's see on the high home. Ooh, barely. So if he's not holding the runner, that's an out, but that's a function of the runner being held on. The hole's a little bigger. There's more room for hits. Nimmo gets a hit. Mets jump out to a 2-0 lead. And now Marte makes a bad situation worse as he gets a 2-0 fastball here. And this is the first ball that's really well struck on the day. This ball goes off the wall. 103 at 21. Lucky that ball wasn't a homer. And now it's 4-0. So the Mets are thinking to themselves, okay, we got Luzardo on the ropes. He's not long for this game. We're probably in the driver's seat here. But then something switches here. Something switches. There's a flip that switched after the first inning. He ends up getting a line drive double play here off McNeil to kind of get himself out of this first frame. Kind of a lucky line drive back to him. Throws it to Sosa for double play. But then something flips after that because he gets 22 guys out in a row here. All right, so let's go through it and let's see what he's getting his outs on. First guy is Acuna. He's going to get him with a changeup. Gets him out front to roll it over, so... There was 2 hits on sweepers, but for the most part, the Mets were definitely on time for the fastball in that first inning. So let's see how he adjusts off that. Then he's going to punch out Hayden Sanger here. This one's with a fastball. 97 up top. And Luzardo, you know, known for that sweeper now, but he still throws cheese. We've already seen him up to 99 in this game. Now he's going to pop up Lindor on a changeup. Gets him out front. So second inning, he gets 1 out on a fastball, 2 outs on changeups as he goes 1, 2, 3, and now he's flipped the lineup over. Third inning, Juan Soto. And I can recall a start that I had in Double-A where I actually gave up 7 runs in the first. The team had no choice but to send me back out there. So I licked my wounds and went back out there and somehow found my way to pitching 7 innings with those 7 runs. And I was still miserable after the game as he jams Soto here with this sinker. Nice pitch. I was still miserable after the game, but at the end of the day, there was a little bit of pride that, I didn't let that first inning beat me and I was able to cover, the rest of 6, 7 innings for my team. And that's what Luzardo does here. He just says, you know what, I can't change the past. I'm just going to turn it up a notch and see how far I can get in this game. So here's Pete striking him out for the second time, this time with the back foot sweeper. That's nasty. 88.8 miles an hour on the sweeper. So that's incredible velocity. He's got Pete for the second time, and now he's going to get Vientos with the changeup. So starting to get more outs with the off-speed for sure. Looks like using that fastball more for chase. You saw the fastball that got Soto out was a sinker in on his knuckles. That's a good approach with an aggressive team on fastballs. Jam him, get something running in on him, get him off the label. All right, so that's the third inning. Now he's in the fourth, and he's definitely starting to roll now. Nimmo on a sweeper. Actually, a similar pitch to the hit he got before, but this time Bryce is able to be back, able to play back. You see how the defense really matters when nobody on versus man on first. Now Harp's back, and he's able to cover more ground, and he makes the diving play down the line for the first out in this inning. So I've always thought this, but batting average on balls in play definitely higher with a man on first than it is with nobody on, just because the infield's in a different alignment. You got double play depth. You got a first baseman getting hold on. It's a funny situation because that's a situation where as a pitcher you do want a ground ball to potentially get a double play, but there's also more holes in the infield, so it's a little bit of a risk-reward situation, and you can kind of see how that plays out with the defensive alignment there. Then he's going to punch out Marte. Marte's the one who hit the ball hard that first time off the wall. Going to get him with a sweeper. See ya. So once he turns to the sweeper, looks like it's all easy peasy mac and cheesy for him the rest of the game. Now he's going to punch out McNeil with a sweeper. Nasty. And is this a true sweeper? Hard to say. It's only 7.4 inches of run, but it also has 7.4 inches of drop. So to me, this is a lot of total movement at a very hard speed, at a very fast speed, I should say, not hard. But 88.4 miles an hour is a very fast sweeper. It would be a power slider, but it has more break than your typical power slider. 7.4 inches one way and 7.4 inches down is a lot of total movement. So that's the trick he's got going. It's going to create a lot of chase for him because you don't have a lot of time to process an 89 mile an hour breaking ball, but also it has so much movement on it that it's going to be able to get around that bat. So he's through 4, and now he's cooking. Gotten 10 out in a row at this point. Gets to Acuna. Got him out with a changeup the first time, and gets him out with a changeup the second time. Gets him reaching out and away. Nick Castellanos making a nice play there. No, Sanger. So a lot of first and second pitch outs too, which are really, really key to getting deep in this game. And, the Mets definitely came out wanting to be aggressive. So this is the second time that I've seen them now get it out, swinging at a pitch way off the plate just because it's a fastball. Soto did it earlier. Now Sanger does it. So good recognition by the Phillies of the offensive approach of the Mets in this game. And then kind of taking advantage of that. All right, and then Lindor, another quick out here on a sweeper. So as soon as he's gone to the sweeper attack, when in doubt, throwing the sweeper, he starts really rolling here. Now he's through 5. We head to the 6th, another three pitch out, another sweeper. Soto way out in front of that, rolls it off the end. Nice PFP there. Then Pete, this time Pete's like, I'm not striking out, I'm swinging. Results in a 1 pitch out. So a good place to be on the mound when you're forcing guys to a lot of contact, but you're getting quick outs. The way that he bears down, really, really impressive. Shows a lot of fortitude in this game. And then he comes back and strikes out Vientos. So now he's through 6. They're still losing in this game at this moment. It's 4-3. Oh, Mark very unhappy with this strikeout. So you can see the frustration for the Mets players pretty apparent here. bat spike, helmet spike, and we'll see ya. And then 7th inning. So at that point in the 6th inning, he battled all the way back through 6th. That in and of itself would have been a great job, great recovery job. But now the Phillies go ahead and take the lead. So he's given the opportunity to get a shutdown inning. And what we talk about when we talk about shutdown innings for pitchers is your team just scored. You want to maintain that momentum. If you go back out there and you lay down a quick 0, 1, 2, 3 inning, you maintain your team's momentum and you kind of kick the other team a little bit further into the quit zone. That's what I call the quit zone. Once the deficit feels a little too far to overcome and the other team just kind of lays down and goes away and they say, we'll play tomorrow. That's your opportunity. You know, you get the shutdown inning, you add on that following, and you can really bury a team. So this is the chance that he has for the shutdown inning, and it couldn't go any better. He goes 1, 2, 3, Nimmo. Nimmo puts a sweeper in play all 3 times. The first time it's a hit, the second time it's a rollover, nice play, and the third time, this time he gets the sweeper away from him enough and gets him to reach. See, now this is on the outer third of the plate. Gets him to reach here. All he can do is pop it up, and we got 1 out. Now Marte, gonna punch him out for a second time. Sweeper again. So he's getting 80% of his outs after this first inning with the sweeper. This is an outstanding adjustment. You don't just stay stubborn in baseball. And now the sweeper's pushing 90 miles an hour, so he was really feeling it as this game went on. This is one of the most dominant outings I've ever witnessed, with giving up a 4 spot in the first inning. So I just think it's impressive. You know, you can't change the past as a player. You know, they say, what's that line from Ted Lasso? You got to be like a goldfish. You got to have a short memory. You just forget it. You get back on track. That's what Jesus does here. And he actually gets himself into the 8th inning, which is wild. So here's the 8th. Acuna again, going to get him out for a changeup for a 3rd time. He's had him reaching all day for that pitch, so why change it? It ain't broke, don't fix it. Now Alvarez is going to get a shot here, pinch hitting for Sanger. He'll give him the sweeper. Gets another rollover. Here comes Sosa. Ooh, nice play. A little convoluted, almost hit the third baseman, but really nice play overall. And then he's going to finish his outing with a strikeout of Lindor. Also a sweeper. So, realistically, maybe we'll do a quick count. How many outs he gets on sweeper after that tough first inning. And maybe this is his family in the stands, but they got to be proud of the fortitude. They got to be proud of the toughness that Jesus showed in this game. And honestly, this is one of the more impressive things I've seen. Sometimes when it's good, it's good. You know, you just roll through it like a knife through butter, and it's really not hard. But sometimes it's really freaking hard, and you got to dig deep, and you got to say, no, this is my day to pitch, and I'm not done pitching yet. And that's what he does here. Fired up. 8 innings. That's a hell of a job for the boys in a game that they could have easily lost focus on and said, you know what, we already won the series. We won 3 out of 4. We can forget it. So I'm going to quickly run through and just see how many outs he gets on sweeper after the first inning. So I know Acuna is, so the second inning, it's none. And then here we go. No. Then he gets Pete out on a sweeper, so that's 1. Vientos, no. Marte, yes, so 2. McNeil, 3. Acuna is a changeup. Sanger, no. Lindor, 4. Soto, 5. Alonso, 6. I should have been counting while I was doing this, but we're at 6. Also getting outs with the changeup. Nimmo is going to be 7. Marte's going to be 8. McNeil's going to be 9. Acuna's another changeup. Alvarez is 10, and Lindor is 11. So 11 of the 22 outs. Half of the outs he gets the rest of the way are on the sweeper. I think that's the big adjustment. He was getting beat a little bit with the fastball. He sees that the Mets were attacking that heater. Him and JT come back. They don't stick with it. They don't stay stubborn. They still believe in him. They say, hey, let's just switch up the mix. Let's go to a heavy slider approach, heavy sweeper approach. And that's what works. He ends up getting 9 whiffs on 19 swings at the sweeper, and the aforementioned 11 outs after the first inning on sweeper, which is very impressive. What else we got here? He also had excellent velocity in this game last night. Velo was up to 97.2. I wonder if that's there's a little bit of anger ball going on there. I know pitchers are definitely capable of going dark side, is what we would say. You know, you're giving it up a little bit, or you get a little embarrassed out there, maybe you give up a home run, and you just go to some dark place and you start chucking 1 or 2 miles an hour harder. I remember in the 2021 season, Chris Sale had a game where he got really pissed off mid-inning and started throwing 3 or 4 miles an hour harder. And that always blew my mind a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get in the chat here for a second, which I have over on my side screen here. Mets bullpen feeling a little bit shaky, no doubt about it. They're looking for guys to get in the circle of trust for Mendoza, and really it's kind of slim pickings. Probably Edwin, maybe Rogers and Raley at the moment. Reed Garrett, tough outing yesterday, so he might be immediately out of the circle. So it's interesting to see how they play that. Helsley's obviously not in right now. Luzardo bears down and picks it up. Average fan. Argaz went to sleep. Mets fan. That's one way to look at it, but the Mets are still winning this game into the sixth. It would be a little early for them to have quit before that, so I think you got to give Luzardo the credit for making some quick adjustments. And then maybe once they give up the lead, you know, the Mets might have said, all right, we're going to punt the rest of this series a little bit. I understand it's tough, but they have a big series coming up with the Rangers, and that speaks to this other question that I got here about what do you think deGrom has done well to adjust this year for the Rangers. So let's go dig into that a little bit, because I'm curious to find out my thoughts on that. All right, we'll go over to Jake. He's pitching today for the Rangers. So let's see what he's changed with his pitch mix. So this year he's at 11.3% changeup, which represents the highest percent of changeup in quite a while. The last time he was over 8% was actually the 2020 season, where he was at 16.9% changeup. As we can see down here, this 16.9 number is the percentages. So that's the last time he was over 11% changeup. He kind of dropped it off. 9% in 21, 8.2% in 22, all the way down to 8.9% in 23 and 5.8% in 24. So that's adjustment number one. Throwing more changeups, also utilizing the curveball a bit more than he has the last few years. Generally stealing strikes with it. Other than that, there's not a whole lot different. He has toned down the miles an hour a little bit. So 97.5 on the four seam. This year, still plenty of fuel. I would have given up my left arm for my right arm to throw 97, 97.5 on average. And last year when he came back from Tommy John, as you would have expected, 97.3. But prior to that, with the Mets, he kind of was just going up like a freaking rocket ship with the velos every year. In 2023, 98.7, 2022, 98.9, 2021, he was at 99.2. That's probably the high watermark, 2021. 99.2 average is insane for a starter. And that's where I think it was a little bit of a runaway train. He became so dominant with fastball slider through that stretch of time that he really didn't need anything else. But I also think it didn't allow him to stay healthy. Kind of redlining at the very, very edge of his physical ability. So even though the changeup has a -2 run value this year, I still think there's some value in having a third pitch and being a little less predictable. Also, I've been noticing a little bit with his pitch locations. So let's go to his heat maps here. See if we can control for righties and lefties here. All right, so here's his 2025 heat map. Let's just take a look at this. I'm curious to see. Changeup's in an outstanding location this year. Down away from a lefty, down into a righty, dotted on the corner. And to me, that's the biggest reason why Jake can pitch with diminished velocity and with guys seeing him so often and still be generally great. It's just because he has probably 100th percentile command. He lives on the edges. I mean, look at this slider heat map. It's pretty much perfect. Some balls are slightly in the zone. The majority are right on the corner or they're below the zone. Hard to give up damage when that's where your sliders are going. And then fastball, you know, it's slightly up. He's got a lot of carry. Typically, he's more on the corner. I'm curious to see in other years where these heat maps are. So this was the little bit he pitched last year. Slider was dotted down. Changeup was dotted down. Fastball was actually more down last year. And then we look at 2023. This is when he was probably hurt. So 2022, Yeah, this is what I was talking about. The glove side corner, as you can see, he's just living on that glove side corner with the fastball, especially the four seam. That's typically what you're going to see from Jake, is just living on the glove side, whether it's a right-hander or a left-hander. Although this year I've seen him go a little bit more to the arm side to pay it the other way. So that's adjustment number 2, using both sides of the plate a little more often, giving himself multiple tunnels to work with, multiple lanes. But overall, if you look at Jacob deGrom and his career, really it's just a continuation of what he's always done. And the big keys here are walk percentage. He's in the 86th percentile for him. That's actually not one of his best years, but that's still outstanding. So he's not giving you free bases. He combines that with excellent strikeout ability. So for the most part, he's not giving you free passes. He's not letting you put the ball in play at an above average clip. His chase rate is outstanding. He always has you in swing mode, so he gets the opportunity for quick outs. And he's gotten certainly a lot of quick outs this year. The only thing that's going back this year is he's given up a few more hard hit balls, but I think that's, again, just a feature of not redlining for velocity as much. He doesn't have a sinker in his game, so he's a lot more strikeout or fly ball or hard ground ball. So sometimes those exit velocity numbers or barrel numbers will be a little skewed. And really, that's the only way Jake gives up runs is home runs. So to answer your question, I think it's just more of the same, but with a slightly more arsenal, slight more willingness to use both sides of the plate. As you can see, he's got a 191 batting average on four seam this year, 193 on slider, and 173 on changeup. So pretty damn good. Pretty damn good if I say so myself. All right, so what else do I have written down here for today's show? Let me go over to consult my notepad. Well, I think Gausman deserves a look as well. I made a full video breaking down his outing, but I think he deserves a look as well. He's been really, really good, and he's making a threat to be the Game 1 starter in the postseason for the Blue Jays. Now, I was thinking about it a little bit yesterday, and I was wondering, what if they have big games down the stretch? Like maybe Gausman will have to pitch like the last game of the season or the second last game of the season, and then they're going to have to go with like a Bieber or Scherzer in Game 1. But right now, Gausman's the hot pitcher. He's now down to a 3.44 after yesterday's complete game shutout and an even 1 whip on the season, which is a very nice number to see. If you get below 1 whip, that is a feather in your cap all day long. And it's fascinating to watch because he's a 2-pitch pitcher. It's 4-seam split. Yeah, he throws a few sliders. And when I watched the game yesterday, every one of those sliders is to a righty, and it's either first pitch or with count leverage 0-1, so he doesn't have to throw a strike with it. He wants to throw those to get you off the scent of the fastball split game, which is his game all day. But at the same time, he's not trying to let you hit a slider either. He knows that that's his weakest pitch, so he just uses it to get you off the scent. He goes right back to playing the up-down, north-south game with fastball and split. And I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. We'll head over to his game. Again, there's a full breakdown on my channel, but it bears rewatching because he's the hot pitcher for the Blue Jays. They're in first place in the AL East, and I think he might be not opening day, but the first man on the hill for the Blue Jays come the postseason. And he shows the ability to shut down a really good team in the Astros yesterday. All right, so I'm going to show you the strikeouts, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Here's the first one, splitter. Boom, right below the zone. Now, the key components that I noticed yesterday when I was watching him. Number one, on every pitch, on every single pitch, the Blue Jays have a high target. Now, I think this serves two purposes. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to ask Kevin himself. But I think this move serves two purposes. Number one, it doesn't give away what pitch is coming. It's either going to be a fastball or a splitter. The target never changes. And because he's a 2-pitch pitcher, if the target changed every time between, like if he goes low target on splitter and high target on fastball, the dugout's going to know, and they're going to find a way to chirp to that hitter. Usually the way that it's done in the big leagues is if like a guy's like, hey, 3-5, hey, 4-5, basically says like, let's go, and a number, then that's indicating fastball or off speed. It's one or the other. And then if they don't say anything, it's the other. So the batter will be listening for a guy in the dugout to chirp, and that's why it's important for catchers not to move early and not to give away their targets too early, thus giving away the pitch type. So first thing they notice is they have a high target every time. But I also think this works great for Gausman because when he drives at that high target, he tends to miss a little bit below it, and I think that sets up perfect for the lane he wants his splitter to get in. Watch where this splitter starts. Look at the height. It's about medium height. Now, this camera angle is not great. This pitch is actually pretty much right in the middle of the strike zone, but look at the height, medium height. If you can start a splitter at medium height and still get it to go to this location, the bottom of the zone, well below the bottom of the zone, you are going to get an awful lot of chase on that. And you're going to make swing decisions for the batters at the bottom of the strike zone, this area, north and south of that, along that borderline, really, really, really hard to do in real time. So that's the effect that he has. This is the first strikeout of the game. I'm just going to run through his strikeout pitches, and you're going to see there's a lot of messing with swing decisions on that bottom rail. So there's a split that gets chased. Here's a fastball that gets taken on the bottom rail. So, you know, if you're looking for a split, you see something come out low as a hitter, you're expecting it to drop low and be a no-question ball. But then his four-seam has enough carry to stick at that bottom part of the zone. So this is the trick that Kevin Gausman uses, and he uses it to great effect. Now, Jesus Sanchez splitter. And this is the other type of chase he creates with splitter, especially to lefties. Now, the horizontal movement on his splitter, 17.8 inches, is well above average. So that ball comes out and just immediately starts fading away. When he locates a fastball anywhere on this outside part of the plate, then he's going to be able to see chase off the plate away with the splitter, because now the expectation is just because it starts out away doesn't mean it's not in the strike zone. It means you got to take it seriously, got to swing at it, and then watch this ball run off the plate, making for another tough swing decision. So lefties have tough swing decisions both away and below the zone. Righties' swing decisions are mostly below the zone or above the zone, but he makes it really hard, and guys get really in between, and they're very indecisive. All right, we wrap back around to Sanchez for another strikeout. This one's going to be on a four-seam, and if I remember correctly here, he blows it by him, 96. A big thing that happened in this at-bat was he got him slowed down with a splitter. In pitch number 2 here, watch how this splitter catches Sanchez's attention. He misses it by so much that now he's like, okay, I have to readjust my timing to get on splitter. He was now on splitter timing, which is 84.3 miles an hour, right? Then Gausman recognizes that, comes back with a pitch nearly 12 miles an hour harder and a little more up in the zone, reads the hitter properly, and blows it by him easily. So there's a lot of reading of the batter and reading of the timing by the batter and by the pitcher and the catcher when Gausman's pitching, but they do it to great effect because they play this game every time, so they have a great feel for it. Then he starts rolling with the strikeouts in the 6th inning. This is going to be another freeze down, I believe. Yeah, not a great call, but again, another freeze down, an impossible pitch to swing at if you've seen a lot of splits, and that ball coming in down and into you, you have to let it go. You expect it to drop out of there. Then Jordan, he's going to catch looking.
Terrific rotation the Blue Jays feature right now.
Again, swing decisions at the bottom of the zone, even for one of the, in my opinion, top 3-4 hitters in baseball, and Jordan. This magic trick is really hard. Everything around this line, as it comes out, you got to make a decision in a split second as a hitter. Is it a fastball? Is it a split? Because if it's a fastball, I got to swing. It's going to be in there. And if it's a split, it's going to be way below the zone, so I got to lay off. Jordan saw some splits in this at-bat, sees the pitch come out low, thinks it's going to be low, sticks at the knees. Perfect pitch. See you later. Now, Carlos Correa is going to strike out swinging, this time on a fastball. Up in, slowed him down with splitters. Actually, Carlos was on the splitter the whole game, recognizes that, moves the fastball to the up in location, which is the place where a hitter would have to be the quickest to reach it. Can't touch it. Also a beautiful location there. And then Altuve, so he strikes out 4 guys in a row. This is another fastball. Goes way up top with this one. And see you later. So again, with righties, it's all about discerning the top of the zone and the bottom of the zone. This is where Gausman makes all the decisions tough. He flirts with those 2 lines. Is the pitch going to be above? Is the pitch going to be below? It's really hard to tell in a split second. And these pitches have 10 miles an hour of separation between them in velocity, the fastball and the split. So You're either on time for one, and that means you're way off time for the other, or vice versa. And then he gets, looks like he gets one more strikeout. It's a dirty splitter to Taylor Trammell. And this is when Houston kind of was like, we're over it. Nasty pitch right there. You can see the reaction from Trammell. He's had enough. The shadow started creeping in, making it even harder. And that's the last strikeout of the game. But you get the idea. He goes complete game. I'll show you the last out of the game. Complete game shutout for Gausman. 100 pitches. So I guess that's a Maddox. That qualifies as a Maddox. I don't know if you need to be 99 or less, but I'm going to call it a Maddox. 100 pitch, complete game shutout. One of the coolest things you can do in baseball, especially as a pitcher, obviously. And that brings me up to an interesting topic about splitters. Got a long email yesterday asking me about why all of a sudden splitters are in vogue in baseball, where for years we were taught, everybody was taught, I was told by many coaches, that as soon as you split these two fingers open, you're opening up yourself for potential injury with the forearm. You're putting your fingers in an unnatural way, you're causing a different type of contraction, and you're going to get hurt. But of course, as Tran Hugh Dang notes in the chat here, mostly Japanese players have been throwing splitters. So over in Japan, they never stopped throwing them. Masahiro Tanaka came over with this type of grip right here, where he could kind of manipulate which way he was on the seam and kind of throw pitches that dropped this way, dropped down, or dropped with slight cut. Darvish with the split. Pretty much all the Japanese guys came over. Koji Uehara still throwing split. Then it blended into a few American guys. Kirby Yates, split. And we started seeing that splitter was such an effective pitch that to health be damned. We're going to encourage everybody to start throwing these pitches and then figure out how to stay healthy along the way. And I do think as an industry, they're getting better and better at that. But it's very interesting that now the splitter is very in vogue. Now, a lot of people are throwing these kick changes, which are kind of another way to achieve a similar movement, similar action, where you spike the knuckle on the changeup. But I wanted to show you Kevin Gausman's split grip, which I find very fascinating. The Gausman grip. So this is the Kevin Gausman grip, which we just watched. He's got all three of these fingers over here. And what the effect he tries to have on this is as the ball comes out, this finger gets kicked out of the way, and these three fingers hold on, and it kicks the ball onto a sideways spin. Now, when you have a sideways spin, which we would call on TrackMan numbers and Hawkeye numbers, we would call this a 3 o'clock spin. Headed to the right as if this was 3 o'clock on the clock, and that forces drop and arm side run. So that's the effect that Gausman splitter has. He gets into this position right here, and when he releases it, these fingers have a lot of pressure and they hold on for dear life, and they kick the ball this way. So a lot of people have picked up this grip because he's been so dynamic with it over the past few years. But I really wanted to point that out, that that's the grip that he's using. There's a million different splitter grips, but he's used it to unbelievable effect. Before mastering the split, he really wasn't the same pitcher. But since he's had the split going, the proof is in the pudding here. Going back to 2021 with an 18 run value on split, here's the opposing batter batting averages on his splitter the last few years. 130 in 2021, 195 in 2022, 201 in 2023. That's probably as bad as it could ever get. 201. That's nothing. And then 169 last year and 169 this year. So splitter is a great pitch. Definitely allows you to stay in the rotation because it's a great pitch against opposite-handed hitters. If a changeup or a split is your best pitch, you're in a really good spot, especially if it's plus, obviously, because that'll allow you to face opposite-handed hitters. For me, my best pitch was a breaking ball, so that was okay, but it did not allow me. To dominate opposite-handed hitters. I had to develop something else, and pitch a little more accurately, and use effective velocity and different things like that. But it gave me a big advantage on same-sided hitters, right on right. So at the end of the day, you got to be able to get out opposite-handed hitters to be starters. Because the opponent's team, if you can't get them out, they're going to load them up anyway. And the big leagues has an awful lot of left-handed hitters. So especially as a righty, you got to figure out a formula to dominate lefties. And for Gausman, it's that four-seam and split combo. And he does it as good as anybody. All right, I do want to watch the Seattle walk-off in a minute. Fun fact, looks like Gausman's splitter grip was the one I used for my changeup in college. Yeah, it's a very weird grip. It's definitely something that I think a lot of people tried for a while. I think the big weird part is just stacking the fingers. A lot of times you see splits, the fingers are tucked in down here underneath the ball. Stacking the fingers here is a very, very useful thing to do. And you're creating like this paddle effect. But you got to really like start this pitch way glove side to run it back. So it's a little tricky. If you just try to throw it arm side all the time, you're going to pop off it a lot, and they're just going to look non-competitive. All right, let's head over to the Mariners game last night in a second. We'll do it right now. Mariners and who'd they play last night? The Cardinals. No, the Angels. The Angels, that's right. They played the Angels last night. I'm just going to go ahead and look at the box score real quick so I have an idea of when all the excitement might have happened. So Soriano goes 4 innings, 3 runs. Bryce Miller goes 5 2/3, 4 runs, but 11 punch-outs. Hi-oh. Very nice. And then, so Mariners were losing. Looks like... I'm confused. I guess it's not an earned run at the end. But 3 runs off Sammy Peralta. Okay, so we're going to fast forward to Sammy Peralta. Angels. Oop, my bad. Angels and Mariners. And Peralta. So this is the 11th inning, bottom of the 11th. Let's see how this goes. So it'll come back for the Mariners. Their 6th win in a row, and they pull into a first place tie. So designated runner on second. Mitch Garver up there. And the first out does them no good. He pulls the ground ball. Yes, he hits it hard, but he pulls it to the left side, not advancing the runner. So this is a good outcome for the pitcher and for the Angels. So 1 out here. And now J.P. Crawford. Let's see both pitches here as he gets a game-tying single. Sweeper. And he doubles up, and JP's sitting all over it. Bloops a single into right. That's going to tie the game. Big boy Rayleigh chugging around third. So this is what sitting on a pitch looks like. He gets that first one. It's left on left. He knows that he doesn't want to come to him with a fastball. This is the first pitch he gets, and it pops in. And he says, all right, he's going to try to fix that and throw a strike. I'll be ready. And he is. He definitely stays on the slider. Gets what he's looking for and whacks the hit. Anticipation, such a key word when talking about big league baseball. Those who anticipate win. Then it gets really fascinating here because that's all that did was tie the game, and then it went fly out. This was in the 11th. They ended up winning this in the 12th. Then it goes fly out from a Rosarena. Damn near hits a walk-off here. Ends up getting caught. And then the very rare double intentional walk. Sammy Peralta intentional walks Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez to set up a bases loaded situation. Peralta does come through with a huge strikeout of Naylor. But then that buys him another inning. So he hits back out there for the 12th. And this is how the 12th goes for the walk-off. Polanco. Smashes a double down the left field line. That's going to tie the game right away and set up the winning run on second. Now they have Sammy Peralta's 3rd intentional walk. So this is another pet peeve of mine. It sucks when you get intentional walks and then they look like regular walks on your stat line. So your walks per 9 go up, but you're like, these are intentional walks. The manager said so. So this has no bearing on my control. I remember I had a year with like 7 or 8 intentional walks, and it always really annoyed me to look at my walk total that year because I knew it wasn't representative of how I actually pitched. But that brings up this situation. 1st and 2nd, and Robles is going to come up and be asked to bunt here. And he does a perfect job, lays down, deadens that bunt nicely. Actually, a really tough play. They can't make it. He's safe. So perfect bunt there. And it does make you wonder why more teams don't bunt, especially when teams have weak infield defenses. There's just no guarantee you're going to get the out. You know, this ball's bunted perfectly into no man's land. They had no shot to field this play with his speed. So that gets bases loaded, and now this game's going to end. Harry Ford, the rookie, first pitch he sees, first career walk-off. It's going to be a sac fly, but it's a first career walk-off for Harry Ford. So very cool moment for him. Mariners win again. They walk off for the second straight day. As Polanco has an exploding helmet on the way home. Ooh, Harry Ford gets body slammed. Sunflower seed bath. All of the above. And Mariners win again. So they are now tied with Houston. Right here. Houston and the Mariners, both 79 and 68. Run differential says the Mariners are the better team. They are plus 39 on the year. Houston only plus 13. For what that's worth, these are both very different teams, though, post-trade deadline. Obviously, Houston beefed up their team a little bit post-deadline with Correa. They got Yordan Alvarez back healthy. And a couple other small moves. And then the Mariners, Naylor, Eugenio Suarez, those guys weren't there before, so that really upgraded their offense. And that pairs with, arguably the best starting rotation in the league, them and the Dodgers. At the moment, probably have the best starters. So I like the Mariners' chances a lot. I'm a little curious who's going to be the odd team out here in the AL West between Houston, Seattle, and Texas. It feels like there's going to be some nail-biting baseball coming in down the stretch. The series that we're about to head into right now, Texas is at the Mets. Houston is at Atlanta, who's been really scuffling. And the Mariners are playing the Angels. So Mariners at home versus the Angels seems like a pretty good opportunity for them. And both of the other teams have some tough ones. But we're going to see how it plays out. All right, what else we got for today? Anything else fun in the chat that anybody would like to see? Should we take a quick look at Bryce Terang? Phillies probably have the best starters. Yeah, I just don't think anymore with Wheeler out, Maya. I think it's still very good, between Suarez, the three lefties, Suarez, Sanchez, and Luzardo. Nola actually finally looked really good his last outing. But Wheeler is a big gaping gap for sure. Wheeler is the real deal. Real deal. He's got the playoff pedigree and everything, too. And I actually think Nola is very important for the Phillies moving forward. So I got the Mariners. I got the Mariners in terms of rotation right now. When you can throw Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, and I'm sure there's one I'm forgetting right now off the top of my head who's also really, really nasty. Who is it? Kirby, Gilbert, Miller, Castillo. What's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Oh, Wu. Brian Wu. So wait, you think that the Mets were collapsing? I thought Nola made a lot of really good pitches. Nola made a lot of really good pitches right there. All right, we got a question about the Blue Jays in the playoffs. So we just watched Gausman. I think they're trying to figure out what their rotation mix is. I really like the Blue Jays offense, but especially second half, feels like Bichette has taken them to another level. But right now, this is what the expected stats say about the starters at this moment. It says Gausman's been the best. It's got Bassett as second best, but we all know Bassett's not getting game 1 or 2. Scherzer, so I expect Scherzer to pitch a big role. And then Bieber. Now, if we go down to like 25 balls in play, Bieber will qualify, I believe. He's down here. He is behind those guys, but I think he's looked really good, minus like 2 or 3 innings. So I feel pretty confident that Bieber's going to find his way into that rotation too. They have good options, and then offensively, they've been good all year. I think they're like 4th or 5th in hitting. But Bichette's really picked it up big in the second half. Springer, Guerrero, and Kirk have been awesome all year. Varsho's been picking it up big time. They need to get Barger back going. I think that would be a really good thing for them, and Jimenez as well. But you got to like the big 4 that they have. Springer, Guerrero, Kirk, and Bichette. Granted, they're all right-handed, but They've played really, really well this year, so I like their offense. Okay. I like the chances for the Blue Jays. It's just going to be interesting because the Yankees and the Red Sox are hot on their heels. There's definitely something to be said for being the team that's hunting rather than the hunted team. I think it's a little harder to play from out front. But we'll see. 15 games left. It's going to be very, very excited. All right. They want to know my take on the Volpe injury. Well, I don't really have any inside information. I know Anthony and stuff. But, a lot of times people get hurt, but it's not bad enough to not play, and then it kind of affects them under the surface, and you don't really know. Maybe that's the situation a little bit with Anthony, dealing with the shoulder thing. No doubt that's going to hurt your swing a little bit. Who knows how it manifests itself in other ways, confidence and things like that. But it's all just a maybe. I have no idea really what the situation is there. I think it's unique, and clearly this is an effort to kind of be a little more forthcoming with what he's been going through this year. But I still think you're going to see a lot of Caballero from here on out. Volpe's just been so struggling the last couple weeks of the season. And now that they have this injury thing, I think that kind of opens the door to being careful with him a little bit. No doubt about it. Do you think Santander makes a comeback and makes an appearance in the playoffs? So what's up with him? What did he get hurt with? Maybe we can Google that. Santander injury. Left shoulder injury, a subluxation. Those hurt really bad in early May, so that's not good. I actually subluxed my shoulder way back in the day when I used to hit in AA as a pitcher. So the shoulder just goes click click out of the socket, in the socket, but usually that comes with a lot of either stress or damage, even actual tearing to stuff in your capsule. Labrum. Rotator cuff, the whole capsule, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's not a fun injury to have. Although he would be a great piece to get back. He's one of the better hitters I faced in my time when he was with the Orioles. I thought he was really, really tough at bat. Surprised to see that he got off to a slow start this year with the Jays. Why are the Yankees always so late with diagnosing injuries is a question. I don't know that that's true. Yankees are very calculated with what they release to the public, and they're usually one of the more thorough teams in terms of checking injuries out that I've been with. They always order MRIs. They always have team docs look at stuff. A lot of teams are just like, oh, you feel good, we're not going to check anything, just keep going. So I think if you only pay attention to the Yankees, you're going to notice a lot of stuff that's probably common other places, and you don't really realize how common it is everywhere. I just watched the Dodgers, that beast says. Are you guys Yankee fans? I'm a Yankee fan right now because if they win the World Series, I get the ring. But overall, I'm just a baseball fan. And you know what? That beast 43, your Dodgers have been looking out freaking standing. Let's go to their last 5 games if we can, because last 6 games. See if I can find this real quick. 2025 Dodgers. All right, so last 6 games for the Dodgers. You got the Yamamoto start. Well, first you have the Shohei start. Shohei goes 3 2/3, no runs, and looks electric in this game. Well, no earned runs at least. Looks electric in this game. Then you got the Yamamoto game right after that, where he goes 8 2/3, one hit. Then you go off of that to Clayton Kershaw's game, where he goes 5 2/3, 2 runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, and an outstanding start. And then that takes you to Glasnow, who almost threw a no-hitter. 8 innings, no hits, 1 run, but no hits. Then Sheehan the next day, who probably won't be in the rotation too much longer now that they have all 5 of their main dudes back, but he's been looking really good as well. Sheehan, 7 innings, 1 run, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. And then finally, Wednesday's game was Blake Snell, who had 11 punch-outs in 6 innings. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 11 strikeouts. So Dodgers are definitely on the upswing. The Beast, I feel pretty good about them right now. Probably the best I felt about them since opening day. We all felt like they were going to be this team all year, but they have a very funny thing to do where they're going to frustrate their fan base the whole year and then look really, really good here down the stretch, kind of reigniting them. All right, we got some more questions. Texas Rangers are first place in ERA and WHIP. That's what's confusing. They've been great in pitching the whole year, Texas. 2025 pitching. Yeah, Texas, number 1 in WOBA. 291. San Diego, 2nd. Brewers, 3rd. Pirates, 4th, which is crazy. So 2 of the top 5 teams in pitching are currently on the outside looking in, and even more if you go back down to Kansas City. So 3 of the top 7. Typically, if you're in the top 5 in pitching, you're going to be in the playoff. But that has not been the case this year because Texas offensively has been really, really bad. They are down here in 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20th place. So bottom half of the league in hitting. Top half, obviously, number 1 in pitching. But you got to have a little bit more of a balance. I think Justin Morneau was a player that I played with in Colorado, and he used to tell me that you don't have to be necessarily the best in any category, but if you're really good, like by really good meaning top 12 in the league in pitching, hitting, and defense, odds are you're a playoff team, probably a division winner, because you're well balanced, and that's going to play itself out in terms of your wins and losses, and I think that's a good way to look at it. Be balanced. Also, the Blue Jays... The Blue Jays have also very good on offense too, which we also looked at. So American League's super wide open in my opinion. All right, Twixie has a question. Who had the best away clubhouse that I went to? Well, most people are going to answer the Yankees on the roadside, and I do think that title is deserved. They have the best food. Lou Kakuza, who's over there, is one of the best clubbies in the game. He's been around forever. They definitely are first class. They do everything right. But I don't love the layout of that clubhouse. I feel like there's no cozy area really to be, and I like to be cozy when I'm in a clubhouse. I like to relax before games. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and say one that I think is a little bit outside the box, and that's San Francisco. I think that the clubbies there do an outstanding job. I think Mark in the kitchen is one of the best in the game. They've got a lot of cozy nooks and crannies in that clubhouse. I don't know, something about it feels like home to me, so I love that visiting clubhouse in San Francisco. Also, the New Texas, though, is incredible. New Texas is like a country club. Beautiful food room, beautiful players lounge. Everything's super nice. Training room's unbelievable. You could be laying on your back, getting your arm worked on, and watching TV up here from a TV hanging down from the ceiling. So very posh, but I think those are pretty good. I've got another question here. Is it ever true in your experience when fans say that a team has no heart or fight, or is that just something fans say to voice their anger? I mean, I've been on teams that lost their fight, but not typically a team that's in the playoff hunt. You might be depressed every single night as you continue to lose and be frustrated, but usually you're re-energized when you come back in the next day. The only teams that I've been in that completely lost the fight were teams that are just out of it. When you're just playing out the stretch, so this is like 2023 Mets. You go look at our road trip right after the trade deadline when we punted on that. I think we got swept by the Royals, swept by the Orioles. So, and neither team was necessarily great at that time, although Baltimore was on the upswing. But still, we were kind of just done for at that time mentally, and we knew that we had nothing to play for except our own stats, and that's no fun. Nobody wants to play like that. You want to play team ball and be trying to win. And then a couple of Rockies teams I was on that had like close to 100 losses. It gets a little sketchy there in the last month. People are annoyed. You got a lot of selfish behavior going on. Got a lot of weird behavior going on. So overall, I would say no. If a team like this Mets team right now, if that's what we're referring to in this question, they have not lost their fight. It might look like that to fans because you just don't have anything else to critique. Specifically, they're just losing right now. I don't think they've lost their fight. Trust me, they want to get in that playoff and roll the dice one more time, no doubt about it. Scott Ward, yeah, Skeens effect. That's definitely what we're seeing a little bit here in his pitching. If by WOBA the Pirates are ahead of the Phillies, that's likely Paul Skeens pulling those numbers down really well because that's how damn good he's been. But I'll give you an example of teams that are in the playoff hunt right now and kind of where they are in the rankings. So it's like the Yankees here in pitching, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in pitching. And if you go to hitting, they're first in hitting. So 8th in pitching, first in hitting, great combination. Blue Jays are second in hitting, but they're below average in pitching. So that's a little bit of a concern to them. So you're looking for a team with a combination of both. Actually, the Cubs grade well in this way. They are 8th in pitching and about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in hitting. So that's a team that does a little bit of both well. It's funny because the Mets were killing it in pitching, and now they've dropped way back in the second half, showing how difficult it's been for them. Even the Dodgers, used to seeing them in the front as front runners in this spot. But I don't know. We got a lot of interesting things coming up, so I think we'll just go ahead and do the probables. Thanks for hanging with me today, and we'll see you again next Friday on the MLB live stream. Definitely pop over to my channel if you get the chance. We're doing it every day. The next one is going to be a Saturday night stream, Baseball After Dark, tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, which was a really fun one last week. Last week was the first time we did it. We hopped into a few live games, but for the most part, recapping the whole day. And the chat gets a little more spicy at night for sure. All right, Rays at Cubs, Shane Baz, Matthew Boyd. Pirates at Nats, Mitch Keller, Brad Lord. Brad Lord pitched really well his last time out. Royals and Phillies, Lorenzen, and then Mr. Walker Buehler's making his Philly debut today. It's been a long time since this guy's been on track, minus the playoffs last year, so maybe he can recapture that end-of-the-season mojo for the Phillies. And the Royals are desperate now. They need to hang on. They need to play outstanding baseball the rest of the way if they want to have a chance. Orioles, Jays. Bassett's on the mound for the Jays, and Trevor Rogers on the mound for the Orioles. Trevor Rogers, been sneaky, one of the best pitchers in the game this year, if you haven't noticed. And then this is the game that a lot of people are excited for today. It's deGrom's return to Citi Field. He's facing rookie phenom Jonah Tong. So two Met fan favorites going head-to-head. This is a little bit of a brain buster type of ticket. It makes me want to use my card today and go to this game. This is a very exciting game. Martin Perez, Tanner Bybee, White Sox and Guardians. Two vets. Obviously, Martin's a super vet, so we'll see how that goes. And then Skubal back on the mound in Miami versus Sandy. So two former Cy Young Award winners going at it. I really like this. This is a very fun, interesting matchup. I expect Skubal to run through the Marlins. Yankees, Red Sox. So the rivalry is back, rebooted tonight in Fenway. No better atmosphere. Luis Gil and Lucas Giolito, who's been on a damn tear in the second half and has been awesome to watch, and really happy for him. Great dude. Astros, Braves, Jaden Murray, and Hurston Waldrop, who's been a revelation as a rookie. He's one of the few rookies that I really haven't sat down and watched too much. I watched him a little bit. He's got an awesome split that he likes to throw with 2 strikes. But if we quickly look at him, can I quickly look at Hurston Waldrop while we're here just to give you a demonstration of how good he's been so far? Hurston Waldrop. Yeah. How's 6 starts in 7 games with a 1.33, 4-0, 40.2 innings, and a 1.06 whip. So that's outstanding. He's now a new rookie we have to take note of. Also, weird on the pitch mix, seeing 3 pitches close to the bullseye here. It's very strange. Splitter, cutter, and slider all very clustered. That's a unique effect. Just wanted to point that out. All right, where are we? All right, back to the probables. Diamondbacks and Twins, Brandon Pfaadt and Pablo Lopez. It's a good matchup. And Cardinals at Brewers, Palante, Quinn Priester. Now, the Brewers just don't lose with Quinn Priester on the mound. They've won something like 17 or 18 games with him starting. So I guess you got to expect them to win again. Rockies, Padres, Tanner Gordon, J.P. Sears. Padres need to pick it up a little bit. Reds and Athletics. Reds still trying to chase down those Mets. They get a little trip through Suter Health Park in Sacramento and a very good A's offense. So we'll see how that series goes. But this is an opportunity for the Reds to creep closer to the Mets as the Mets are playing the Rangers, another team that needs to win. So that could go either way. And then our final 2 games of the night, Yusei Kikuchi and the Angels at Luis Castillo and the Mariners. Luis Castillo, one of those 5 Mariners pitchers I referenced earlier, and why I'm so high on them, and I've been so high on them for so long, is just when you throw a quality starter out there every night, you're going to have a very good chance. And then our final game of the night, and this is a very exciting matchup. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, one of my favorite pitchers in the big leagues, going up against a guy who I love being teammates with for a short period of time with the Mets, Obviously, a legend in his own right, Justin Verlander. This is an awesome matchup. Just a modern superstar and a former superstar, I guess, although he's still chugging. Yamamoto and Verlander. Very interesting to see how Yamamoto looks after his last start. Will the velocity still be there? Will the sharpness still be there? Or will there be some repercussions for going as hard and as long as he did before? But that's baseball. We got to watch it. We got to check it out. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today on the Friday MLB version of Baseball and Coffee. It's awesome always to hang with you guys. I love that we had a pretty good chat today. So thanks again, and I'll see you next Friday. And stop over on my channel if you're so inclined. All right. Thanks so much. See you guys later. Bye.